Hey everybody, it is Brent Daniels, and welcome back. If you're one of our regular listeners to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, welcome back. You guys are the absolute best. You guys make everything possible when it comes to this podcast, making it so exciting, so inspiring to people around the whole entire country. Thank you for coming back. If this is your first time listening, this is the #1 podcast when it comes to wholesaling real estate. So it is welcome to the podcast. Now, listen, when it comes to generating leads, when it comes to getting deals from wholesaling, there's only 3 ways, okay? The first way is by marketing, okay? Traditional marketing, and we're going to talk about that. The second way is by prospecting, being proactive, going out every single day and talking to distressed property owners. And the third way is getting referrals. Now, I've got on this podcast, this is huge because you guys know that I am the prospecting guy. I am the guy that I want you to be proactive. I want you out there using your time, your skills, your talents to go out and get deals. But we're going to look at the flip side of this. We're going to look at the power of marketing for your business. And that leads me to introducing one of my really great friends. He does business in Dallas, but he lives in Tulum, Mexico. This is going to blow your mind. It is Mr. Chris Arnold. Chris, say hello.
B. Daniels, good to see you, man. Good to be hanging out, as always.
Good to have you on here. This is really, really, really exciting because I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, I'm really excited about this interview because Chris has decided to become a Wholesaling Inc. coach. And this is absolutely bananas, and he's going to explain to you what he's coaching and and the way that he does so much business. But Chris, let everybody know that maybe hasn't heard your story, doesn't know much about you. Who are you? Where you living? How has your life led you to be living on the beach in Tulum, Mexico?
Yeah, so I've been doing real estate now for about 14 years, and I've done a little bit of everything in real estate. You know how it is. You start in one place, which I did with brokerage, and then move over into fix and flip and wholesale and starting a mastermind and education. So it just becomes a mixture of really wanting to get involved in all aspects of real estate because it's so interesting. It's a lot of fun. And so after doing it for about 14 years, you really get to a place of learning some things that you feel like are valuable to share. And one of the things I'm excited to talk about is the marketing channel that we're going to discuss today. We call it a marketing channel that everyone knows about, but nobody's actually using. And how I got down to Tulum, I'm a big guy that wants to be able to set up businesses that bother me as little as possible. My drive has always been about freedom. I feel like our businesses should serve us and we shouldn't serve our businesses. And so because I have an incredible team and because I've had a lot of great coaches around me, I've really been able to elevate out of the day-to-day. And that's allowed me to fulfill my dream of living in the Caribbean. I want to finish my work day and go down to the beach, Brent. That's my ideal day, my perfect day.
So this is incredible because we all watch the videos. We all have these thoughts in our mind. We all have this, idea that the goal is to be, a laptop on the beach, reading a book on the beach, having an open schedule, being able to enjoy ourselves, be somewhere beautiful. But nobody lives that life. You live that life. You're a real example of somebody that actually lives that lifestyle, and I think it's very shocking to a lot of people that you can actually achieve this. You know what I mean? Like you can actually get to the point where you build up your business to where it truly is running without you.
Absolutely. And if someone asks, well, how do I get that point and where do I start? It really starts with a choice. You're going to make a choice in the beginning where you want to end up. And if you make a decision and draw a line in the sand that eventually I'm going to elevate out of this business, it's the reason that I'm building it, versus someone that goes, I want to build this empire and be king of it, you're going to be in 2 different worlds. You can be king, but you're going to be busy and you're going to be a slave to that business. Or you can step to a place where you put other people in place, other kings to run it for you, so that you get that freedom. And it starts with choice. It's all about intentionality. We know that.
So are you telling me, come on, you're telling me 14 years ago, you knew you wanted to end up where you're at now and you set it up that way 14 years ago? Or has this been an evolution in your business life, in your life?
No, It started that way because it was the reason I built a business. And for me, it was a vehicle. Real estate is not my number one passion, right? People are my passion. I love things to do with ministry, charity, those type of things. And so from the very beginning, because I viewed real estate as not my identity, but the vehicle that allowed me to be more of who I wanted to be, and that's really getting into social entrepreneurship and impacting the world, absolutely, because it's always been a vehicle for me from the beginning. It's the way I viewed it.
I love it. And it's really interesting that you say that real estate isn't your passion. People are truly your passion. And I think that that's so powerful because really, when it comes to wholesaling real estate, it's not real estate investing. We're not buying these properties and holding them for a long time that's a traditional real estate investor would do. What we're doing is we're literally getting in between a distressed property owner and a cash buyer, and we're solving both of their problems, right? We're solving the problem of this distressed property owner that has this burden of this property, and then we're matching them up with people that are either building their portfolios, they're looking for a place to live in a specific area but want to buy it at a discount, or they're fixing and flipping these properties and they don't want to do the marketing. They don't want to do the prospecting. They don't want to build up the referral base to be able to support that, to be able to consistently get the deals that they need to be real estate investors or real estate flippers. So, I think it's really interesting when we're looking at this because I always thought, I'm a real estate investor. I'm doing all this wholesaling. No, I'm not a real estate investor.
Do not define yourself as a real estate investor because you will get stuck within that identity. You're more than that. You're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner, and you're not in the property business. You're in the people business. You have to understand that. And there's a distinction between the two when you run one a certain way and understand what you are. So I definitely encourage people to understand you've got to elevate above the mindset of just being an investor.
Absolutely. And you, like me, and we're very similar in this, and you're kind of forced to be this way, but I like using the profits from the wholesaling business to buy property. That's when I become an investor. But you, like me, we like buying them cash because we just, you have to in Mexico, but you know what I mean? We buy property.
Wholesaling leads to something. It's wholesaling too. Right? It's wholesaling to build a portfolio. It's wholesaling to build a coaching program that impacts people's lives. It's wholesaling to build a particular lifestyle. It doesn't cap at wholesaling. It's meant to be something that catalyzes you into something else. And that's really important to understand from the very beginning.
Love it. So let's talk about your number one channel, your marketing genius. You've put together an incredible. This is really interesting because literally I don't know anybody else that is doing it as well, as effective as you, and for as long as you have with the success that you have. So let's talk about this beautiful marketing channel called Radio.
Radio, the marketing channel that everybody knows about, but nobody's doing. Think about it. Think about everyone that you know that's out in the market doing deals and say, how many people I know doing direct mail or ringless voicemail, et cetera, and all those things are great. They work. But then ask yourself, who do I know that's utilizing the vehicle or the channel of radio to generate deals? You're probably not going to be able to come across anyone off the top of your head because nobody has taken something like radio and then utilized it to find distressed properties for sale. It's wide open. There's virtually no competition.
So when did you start this? When did you start investigating? When did you start experimenting with putting a budget towards radio?
9 years ago.
9 years ago?
9 years ago. We've been doing it a long time. So we kicked it off, obviously, with direct mail. That was the thing that got us off the ground. But we wanted to be able to, again, have multiple channels of marketing. You never want to put your eggs in one marketing basket. And so from the very beginning, we kicked off and got radio up and going, which was key for us. And so we've been doing it now for 9 years.
Incredible. So in that 9 years, have you seen a big difference? Are less people doing it now or more people doing it now? Has nobody done it for the last 9 years?
It's not picked up. It's ironic, right? It's been there. And those of us and my friends that utilize it, right, some of the top guys around the country, we sit back and kind of scratch our heads a little bit of why has it been going on this long and nobody's picked it up. I think for a lot of people, it's just a black hole. It's like the first thing I think when I think about radio, I think people go, it's not affordable, right? I've got to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on radio, and it's not true. You can pick up 60-second spots, Brent, for as little as $10 to $15 for an ad. And most people don't realize that. So I think that's one of the things that pushes people away from it because they automatically assume I can't afford it. And it's not true. It was one of the things we started with.
$10 to $15 in major markets?
Absolutely. Depending on the station. There are stations that are more expensive, right? Again, if you're going to go after Kiss FM, that's got 1 million listeners, of course, it's going to take you more than that. But what I would tell you is the stations that you're going after primarily, let's use an example. Your avatar might be over the age of 50, okay? So what genre station is someone over the age of 50 going to listen to? They're going to listen to classical rock. They're going to listen to talk radio. Well, if you're doing talk radio on an AM station, those cumes are not very high. So there are radio stations like that are a lot less expensive, like 1/10 of the cost, let's say, of Kiss FM. And people don't realize it, but it fits your avatar. Are people over the age of 50 really listening to, contemporary music, right? Taylor Swift? Probably not. Probably
Right.
not.
Well, and what's the avatar? I mean, as you're talking, literally through my head, I'm thinking about like all the sellers that I sat down with, right? And I would say 85%, except for the people that inherited it from probate and, just from a death in the family, they inherited it through probate or a will or whatever else. It's almost exclusively people over 60 years old. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm literally going through this in my head and I'm thinking, well, they don't listen to Spotify, probably. They're not on. They're not.
They
they're
don't.
Not,
Someone
you know
asked
what I
me a
mean?
question the other day. Well, how many people listen to the radio? Aren't they all listening to Spotify or Pandora? And I said, not if they're over the age of 50. They still turn on the radio.
Oh, my parents still turn on the radio. That's all that's on. That's all. They don't even have. They have the XM, but they don't care. They love they're just setting their routine of turning on 3 or 4 channels on either FM or AM. I mean, it's just set. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that it's really, really interesting. But let me throw some questions at you that I think maybe the audience is thinking right now. So, to do a radio ad, don't you have to hire like a professional ad person to do the actual ad? You know what I mean? And how do you know what to say and how long and all these things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to recording an ad, you can do it 2 ways. You can record it yourself, which is what I do. I actually record it here from Mexico. I have a mic. I go into my bedroom, I put up a couple pillows in the backdrop, my wife turns it on, and I literally record my ads from my bedroom in Mexico and send them back to my team. We're talking about on a mic that I bought, right? That's it. And they work just fine. Or stations obviously will record them for you. That's part of the package they provide. They don't charge anything additional. And so again, you listen to radio, all the people that are doing the commercials and really have that radio type voice, they'll get in and they'll allow you to utilize one of those voices and they'll record it for you. The station at no additional cost.
I want to do something real quick. What I want to do, Chris, is anybody that's listening to this or watching this, if you guys are just listening to this on the podcast, you got to watch this because it's just so much better watching it on video. Go to Brent Daniels Real Estate on YouTube. But if you're watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself or listening to this and thinking to yourself, I've always wanted to do radio. Nobody's explained it right. You need to set up a call because Chris's program is going to teach you everything. And am I pushing it? Am I hyping it? Yes, because if you're one of those, if you're a specific person that is considering doing radio, I mean, where else are you going to look to? You got to go set up a call at wholesalinginc.com/REI radio, right?
That's exactly right.
That's
Real
it. To
Estate
find
Investor
out
Radio,
more.
REI Radio.
and check out the page, see what it's about. But literally, you walk through all these things. You walk through which stations, what to say, how to record it, like all these things, right?
Yeah, we give the entire blueprint at this point, and that's a really important thing. And the key is the negotiation strategy. The one thing I can tell you about radio, it's like buying a house. The win is all in the purchase and what you buy it for. It's exactly the same. And a lot of people that I've seen try to use radio and fail is because they didn't understand the negotiation tactics that are involved. And that's really the secret sauce of what we're providing.
Love it. Okay, so you've got a radio ad out. Somebody hears it. The people that are calling in, who are these people? Who are these people that are calling you off of a radio ad? What is a typical call like?
So the one thing I love about radio, it's one of the highest quality leads that we've been able to generate outside of a referral. So let's utilize direct mail. Direct mail is great, but we know that more than half of those calls are people calling in frustrating and complaining because they feel like you just spammed their mailbox, right? And there's a lot of
90%. Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. When someone is riding down the road and they pick up the phone and they call you, they're not calling to tell you to stop advertising on the radio. They're motivated and ready to talk about their house. So what I love is the call volume is not as high as direct mail, so it's easier to manage. And the quality that's coming in are people that you want to talk to. And for the most part, you're not getting a lot of the tire kickers that you see with the other lead generation pieces. And it's the best quality lead that we've been able to generate. Let me say this. If you were to line up my acquisition managers and look at all of our lead sources and they were to tell you which one they want assigned to them, it's always going to be the radio lead. Because it's Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, right? It's the gold lead that they want, the best that we produce.
Yeah. So these are people that obviously, that you make such a great point. These aren't people that are sitting there holding your phone number there on a piece of mail. It's somebody that heard it, wrote down the number somehow, and called you. I mean, there's intention there.
They're calling you right on the road. They're dialing in a lot of times while they're driving.
Incredible.
And having a conversation with you. This is why answering these calls live is so important, because the quality is there. You do not send calls to voicemail. You take them live.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, incredible. So, okay, so somebody what is a budget? Like if somebody's starting out and they don't have a ton of money, right? Like what can you start this campaign out with a month realistically to get some momentum, some leads churning? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to close these leads or these leads are going to be perfect laydowns, whatever. But what's a good budget that they that should be expected to kind of start with?
Yeah, I recommend starting out about $1,000 to $2,000 a month.
Okay. On
radio. So you can get in at about 1,000, choose a little bit kind of right in that range, 1,500. Again, it depends on your market, right? If you're in a what we call mid-size or smaller market, it's going to be very inexpensive for you to be able to do it. But again, good rule of thumb is about 1,000 to 2,000 to kick it off. And let me say this, most people are spending that, if not more, on direct mail.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%.
But the other flip side of it is you can scale it up, which is equally as important. When I look at a lead generation piece, I want to know that I'm not going to hit a ceiling at X amount of thousands of dollars in. And then that's it. We can't spend anymore because we've saturated. The good thing about radio is it's inexpensive to start. And then if you want to scale it up and spend tens of thousands of dollars in your market, let's say you're a more seasoned investor listing, you have the ability to scale it up as well. And so I like that it's got that range there.
Incredible. Love it. Well, and this all, we have these discussions, Chris, you and I, we have these discussions because I'm like, prospect, proactive, hire people, get them going, all this. And you're like, I just want to market and have these people, I want less.
Let me contrast it. And I believe in outbound prospecting.
Sure.
Brent Daniels is the way I started my business.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I woke up every day on the agency side calling expireds and FSBOs. You better believe it's what allowed me to grow my business. It's good to have outbound, but I can tell you as well, something like radio, which is great about it, it's what's called reverse prospecting. And that is, you're only talking to people who actually reached out to you first.
Yeah.
And so everything's inbound. So all you have to do is answer the phone. You put your budget up, you let the radio play, you wait for the phone ring, you answer it. And it's definitely a much more easier process to manage than some of the more complex things out there, let's say like direct mail. That requires a lot.
The thing that I love, Chris, and this is something that I've really been thinking, and I'm definitely implementing the radio strategy without a doubt. Listen to me, I'm telling you and everybody in the whole world, definitely taking your strategy, implementing it into my business. I've already talked to the team about it because this is the reason why. The reason why is when you are phone prospecting, when you're texting, when you're voicemail dropping, when you're mailing, it is list dependent. Right? You need to go after distressed properties. And listen, it works. Of course it works. I'm telling you, you can get your first deals, you can get your first 1,000 deals going list dependent. But there is something magical. And I think this falls along the lines of pay-per-click. Pay-per-click is like this as well, that it is mass. It goes out to the masses and the people that put in the time to put something into pay-per-click or put in the time to call you on radio. It's not list dependent. This is literally marketing. It is literally the people that probably would have never reached out, or maybe they don't answer their phone, or maybe they don't have a phone number attached to their property, or they don't get mail there or whatever, but they're in distress. These are the people that, or maybe just from traditional kind of brainwashing of, if you hear something on radio, this must be a legit company, or if you see something on the web, it must be a legit company, and I'm going to go with somebody that that has some sort of credibility. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I will tell you, one of the things I'm grateful for that we had radio for, my experience in the Dallas-Fort Worth market where we're at, is we had the direct mail decline of 2018. So our dollar per dollar return started dropping because the direct mail competition started heating up. I mean, it was when you would go to somebody's house and just see the stack of postcards, right? And everyone was fighting over those lists and trying to refine those lists. And having a marketing channel that had virtually no competition was something that helped us go through that transition and that process of a little bit of the decline of direct mail. Because everyone was on that bandwagon, it got saturated, and this one didn't. And that's one of the reasons, Brent, as well, as we launched this, we're doing exclusivity per market, because we do not want to have happen in radio what happened in direct mail. So we're going to preserve it with the program. We're going to preserve it.
Wholesalinginc.com/REI radio.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right. So, no, I mean, honestly, it's really, really interesting, especially for people that are listening to this. They've got a team. They've got things set up. They're looking for that right spot. It's interesting. The sweet spot of lead generation is like a moving target in our business. Now, I always feel like the fundamentals is always having quality conversations with distressed property owners, 100%. Listen, that is what it is. And I always will go, if you're starting out, if you're getting going, if you're building your business, you got to be proactive, just like Chris was saying. But if you're at that point when you do have, because not everybody has $1,000 or $2,000 budget, but if you do, and you know that you can answer those calls live, and you know that you can tap into this resource that nobody else is using, I mean, this feels like it feels like a no-brainer to me. It really does. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to get going and test it out.
And I'd love to share two other ancillary benefits that people don't realize that you get with radio that you don't get with others. The first one is instant credibility. If somebody hears you on the radio, you must be an expert and know what you're talking about because you're on the radio. That will elevate you above the other wholesaling competition within your city. You have instant credibility. The second thing is celebrity status. If you're doing some of these other types of marketing, a lot of times you might not even put your business company on there. I was laughing with Tom Kroll. We said, I would never put my business company's name on a bandit sign, right? You're not going to be able to build it. When you start to do radio, it's going to give you yourself as an individual and your company's celebrity status. And that is powerful because we know that psychologically something happens in our brain when someone is on television or on radio. It's why we have movie stars. It's why people are famous. and you can actually have that residual effect for yourself and for your company. It's a really cool thing about radio. And
it's a system. It's a system. You have your ad, you have your budget, it gets going. As long as you're answering those calls coming in, you can then hire somebody to answer those calls like you have. You're not answering these calls. You're sitting in beautiful Tulum, Mexico. And if you've never seen Tulum, Mexico, because I didn't know where it was, Google Tulum, Mexico. It is paradise, I'm telling you. But that's always what's impressed me about your business, because one, you're in DFW, which is a huge market but ultra competitive, just like Phoenix, and you have been able to remove yourself completely from the country and run this business effectively. I mean, give me a ballpark, and you don't have to be exact. I'm not going to hold your feet to the flames here, but can you give me a ballpark on how many deals you think have come from radio since you've started?
Oh, that's tough. I could probably break it down for this year and tell you that we will finish out 2019 off of radio, right about 70 deals closed off of radio, that channel.
70 deals this year?
Off radio.
Oh, my gosh.
It's our number one. It's our number one. Our direct, again, it used to be direct mail. Yep. And then radio here, and then it just shifted. And if you look at our budget, a good chunk of our budget now goes towards radio.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And what is that? I mean, with I would assume that the volume of calls coming in isn't like ridiculously overwhelming. Like it's very manageable for somebody, even if they're full time. If they're full time in this business. Even part-time, you should be able to, if you can answer those calls live, you should be able to get them. It should be manageable.
I mean, it's very manageable. When we were running direct mail at its ultimate peak, I mean, we were sending out a lot of direct mail. The call volume was insane. I mean, we had days where what we call VAs, right, that were taking those calls would be in tears because it was just back to back to back to back, plus they're getting yelled at back to back to back. With radio, you can do a large budget and the call volume is very manageable. And it's pretty set it and forget it. You got to do some station rotation here and there. But once you've got it up and going, you just let them play and you answer the calls as they come in, which are very manageable.
Love it. Love it. I love it. So who do you think, Chris, honestly, who do you think is the perfect who do you think that this would bring the most value to? What if you're talking about, you had talked about the word avatar before. If you're talking about the perfect person that's listening to this, what does their business look like? What do you think that this person is thinking and the philosophy that they have about their business to implement this training program?
Yeah, I think it's a few things, right? I think number one, if you're in an area that's competitive, this is for you, right? That's what happened to me in DFW. I'm that avatar, right? This spawns obviously from competition, which is a challenge. So I think that's number one. Number two, it's for someone that's ready to begin the marketing journey, right? So let's say that you are doing outbound prospecting or you've got some deal flow coming in and you're ready for that next little layer, right? You're looking at 2020. What are we going to do? What's going to be our first marketing stream? Because everyone's always thinking about it. This is for you because you can start with it because it's affordable. So I would definitely say that as well. And it's also for the person out there who looks at this business and they want to run it from a standpoint of running it smartly. And that is, I don't want to be pulled in. I don't want to be building lists all day and running here and there to get them and tweaking this. Like, you look at business and you're all about streamlining and you're all about simplicity and efficiency. When I look at a lead generation piece, I want to know how complex and how much work is this going to create in my organization, right? Because there are some that are great, but man, they require a lot of work. And there's others like radio, which really gives you the freedom. And again, that's what I think most of us as entrepreneurs are looking for ultimately, is that freedom in our lives and in our businesses to not be slaves to it.
Love it, man. It sounds like it's kind of like you just plug right into it. You know what I mean? Like you've got it outlaid so that it's just a step-by-step process and then people have leads coming in. Is that right?
It's the full blueprint. It's A to Z.
I
Do
love
this,
it. Oh, man.
And let me say, it's not complicated to set up radio. There are things that you have to know to be successful at it. That's what we're teaching. But getting in from a lift standpoint, it is not a heavy lift to get radio up and going.
Oh, especially with people that are in those competitive markets that are doing a ton of deals, but they're seeing their profit margin shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink because the marketing costs are going up. I love it. I think that this is going to be absolutely bananas, man. I'm going to do one of these for you for those 70 deals that Awesome, man. Well, why don't you tell everybody where to find it again?
You want information? Just go to wholesalinginc.com/REI radio, and you can go there. You can see a video that talks more about it. And of course, you can book a call to just ask questions to learn more if you're just curious, right? It's all about getting in and doing due diligence and seeing if it's a fit for you.
I love it. I love it. Guys, I'm telling you, if this sounds like, if something sparked in your brain, get there, do it today. At least check out, have that conversation, see if it's the right fit. And I'm just really excited to have you around, Chris. Chris runs an unbelievable, just a little a side note, but Chris runs one of I would consider the very top mastermind in the country out of Tulum once a year called the Multipliers Mastermind. And holy cow, the amount of, talking about stretching up in a group of people, it is just unbelievable. So thank you for that, Chris. It's always been, your friendship means a ton to me. I'm so excited that you're a part of this. I know that from my perspective, from Tom Kroll's perspective, we get a lot of people that are interested in certain coaching programs, certain ideas, but the number one thing comes down to bringing the absolute most value to the student as possible, to our tribe as possible. And I'm just thrilled to have you on because you check all the boxes. You're the best, man. So I really appreciate it.
Man, I enjoy it. It's always fun hanging out with you. We're always having a good time, always laughing, always smiling because I love your energy, man. It pumps me up. Enjoyed it.
Awesome, guys. Check it out, wholesalinginc.com/REI radio. Chris, you're the best. Good luck with all these people that are going to come in your way because you're going to help out a lot of people. I'm excited for you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. See you guys.